How to stop murdering your money. MichaelMcLean.coach. Let me share a story about the late, great copywriter Gary, the Prince of Print, Halbert. God, I love studying Halbert. Mr. Personality, the Prince of Print, one of the greatest copywriters and marketers and advertisers in history. And he was old school. He didn't send, free emails and posts on anti-social media. This guy was investing tens of thousands of dollars in real print advertisements, in magazines, direct mail. He mailed millions and millions, tens of millions of sales letters, paper and ink into a person's mailbox. No fucking around with Halbert. He was all in all the way. There was none of this easy stuff now where, you don't have any skin in the game. You can send an email, you can post something on anti-social media. It doesn't cost you any money, or it certainly doesn't cost you tens of thousands. But Halbert, the Prince of Print, man, he was all in. So the losses were massive, the victories were massive, and one of my favorite all-time badass copywriters. So I want to talk about one of his ads, which is my favorite Gary Halbert advertisement. And this advertisement was a full page advertisement that appeared in newspapers across America. It was in the LA Times. It was in the Wall Street Journal. Back in the day, this is in the 70s, remember, when newspapers were massive. So he was paying big bucks. And this particular ad was also in several print magazines. So it was in lots of magazines like business related, lifestyle magazines. And the title, the headline of the advertisement was called Stop Murdering Your Money. And the key to this headline, this hook, was the word murder, right? Like, that's the badass word, in my opinion, that made this headline such a grand slam. By the way, this ad was a massive grand slam. There aren't many grand slams in advertising, by the way. You're gonna fail all the time. If you've got any problem with failure, get out of the copywriting and marketing and advertising game and, go work for the government or something. But man, oh man. So what Halbert was doing is he was selling this $6.95 physical booklet, a little booklet. And check out the title of the booklet: How to Rob a Bank Without a Gun. How to rob a bank without a gun. That's what this full page newspaper ad, this full page print magazine ad was about. It was a two-step process to get the person to read the ad, buy this $7 physical booklet, how to rob a bank without a gun, and then Halbert would ship them this booklet, How to Rob a Bank Without a Gun, in the mail. And what was this booklet? What was this tiny booklet? It was a book, a little booklet, disguised. It was a sales letter disguised as a booklet. In other words, it was the same as having a website. You're literally mailing the person a sales letter, a sales page, or even your website. So the booklet sold the big high-end product. And I don't know how he did it by phone or whatever. but there was no digital marketing, there was no anti-social media, there was no email. So he had to mail these $6.95 booklets. So it's incredible, because this ad, why this ad is so important for you is this. It was the Jimmy Carter political age. And my mom and dad, who were both born into the Depression in 1933, my mom and dad are both 90 glorious years young. But what was interesting, they used to tell me, even though they lived in Canada, they used to tell me, good morning, about the Jimmy Carter inflation years, right? And you're very familiar with those, whether you lived through them or not. Like, this is nothing in 2024. As my father says, there's nothing new under the sun. People talk on anti-social media or on toxic news or fake politics. They talk about how, this is completely new under creepy Joe Biden, when in fact, this is just a repeat of the Carter years, so far light, not as bad. So my mom and dad talk about double-digit inflation. They talk about 17% mortgage rates when they bought their first home. They talk about gas lines filling up their vehicle. I mean, are you kidding me? We have it easy right now compared to what they had in the Carter years. So this is why this ad worked. This is why this ad worked, and you need to look this ad up on the internet. Just Google Gary Halbert, how to stop murdering your money, and print it out and study it. I'm gonna break down this entire ad. I'm gonna break it down from tip to tail. In February, I have a new print newsletter coming out, Michael McLean's Badass Copy. And it's a monthly paper and ink print newsletter. You can click the link below to subscribe. A warning, it's expensive. It's $300 a month, $247 if you sign up as a member today. Badasscopy.coach. But nevertheless, whether you subscribe or you don't subscribe, this ad, you print it off and you look and you study it, and it's the perfect ad. It's the perfect copy for the recession, the so-called recession we're in. Whether it's a recession, whether we're on the way to Depression 2.0, whether we have a soft landing coming, nobody has a crystal ball. Harry Dent and the boys, nobody knows anymore what's going to happen. But Halbert used tough times like we're in now, except tougher, to make millions. And that's your mindset. Like, that's the old Warren Buffett pro tip. When people are scared, be brave, be aggressive. Well, and when people are aggressive, be scared. Like, that's contrarian badass rule number one right there. Always do the opposite of the ordinary crowd, right? The quiet desperation. If they're heading south, you need to head north. If they're heading east, you need to head west. Well, Warren Buffett, the fifth richest man in the world, that's his whole shtick with financing and markets and investing. He's like, when people are scared, you be aggressive. Well, look at us in 2024. Every time you turn on the fake news, every time you're on anti-social media, every time you're talking to your goofy brother-in-law, it's just like fear-mongering, scared, what's going to happen? And Halbert, same thing when he did this in the 70s, is you got a lot of people out there who are scared to death about what's going to happen. And he just used this ad, double-digit inflation. The housing market was teetering, gas lines. You got a weak leader in Jimmy Carter in the White House. So what's he doing? He's selling a business opportunity through a little booklet. But in this ad, if you print it off and study it, and I go through the whole thing in my newsletter coming up in February, badasscopy.coach. And it made me appreciate it more breaking this down in the newsletter for the I love this ad, but now I love it more. How he talks about how you can't put your money in the bank. You're not going to get any interest. You can't trust banks. The leadership in the country is weak. And how's an ordinary Joe or Jill to survive these next few years? So boom, 2024. And I mean, Halbert lays it out. So the person who's fearful, who's scared, they don't know what to do with their money, they don't know what to do with the next 5 or 10 years, they send for this booklet. And by the way, Gary's stuff was fantastic. You follow what Halbert was recommending and you're going to have a nice side hustle. So that's and the headline, Stop Murdering Your Money. He talks about how if you put your money in the bank, you're murdering it. If you're trying to play the casino investment game, you're going to murder your money. Inflation, murdering your money. Real estate, murdering your money. And that's a strong and powerful word, murdering. And then, of course, the booklet, the title is Kick-Ass, How to Rob a Bank Without a Gun. So I'm going to break down this whole badass ad. And this isn't work to me, this is fun. And if you want to see the entire breakdown, it'll be in the inaugural, there's a big word, inaugural edition of MJM's Badass Copy newsletter. My business partner, Mark Andre's like, fuck, Michael, don't do another print newsletter. He says, you're going to kill more trees. The price of paper right now is just brutal. Postage, I can't get Newman to mail most of my my other newsletters, but MJM runs into the fire. So I'm literally starting another print newsletter this February, and you can get it a nice fat discount of $247 per month, and I'll mail it to your house or to your office every single month. Let me break it down for you. What the hell is badasscopy.com? It's simple. I will help you get rich as sin slowly turning words into money. Nothing loftier than that. I'm not going to fight climate change. I'm not going to save the baby seals. I'm not going to sponsor any children in a third world country. I'm just going to help you get rich as sin slowly. Doesn't happen overnight. Took me 10, 15, 20 years of work, and I'm going to show you how to do it, turning words into money. Every time you sit down at your laptop, you can tell a story that turns into money. You can write an ad that turns into money. You can write a post or a blog that turns into money. You can create a script for a video that turns into money. Basically, for the rest of your days, you'll be trained, no matter where you live in the world, no matter what your situation is. You can literally sit down in your home office at any age, in any place, and you can turn words into money. And if you're good at it, if you get good at it, it's millions of dollars. You literally sit down and write that kitchen renovation, right? That's been my mindset the last 5 years. Whenever my queen, Krista, comes to me and she's like, well, we should buy a home in Naples instead of renting after the first year 3 years ago. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write myself a home in paradise. So I got busy writing myself a home in Naples. And then, just the other day, she's like, okay, we need a kitchen renovation. We need to, Emery's here being homeschooled. My daughter She's got a math coach. She's got a full-time chess coach. She's got an acting coach. She's in the plays, the theater. She's got a typing coach, old school typing. And I'm like, all this stuff adds up. So I'm just sitting down every day and I'm writing myself a math coach. I'm writing myself an acting coach for her. I'm writing myself, my kids' education. And you can do the exact same thing. Your queen wants to go on a European or round the trip world vacation. Just sit down like a Gary Halbert would and just write yourself that trip. Don't take on debt and don't put stuff on credit cards like the great unwashed arses. Anytime you have an expense in your life, sit down and write yourself that. And it doesn't take long. That's what my newsletter is all about. I'm going to teach you how to tell stories. I'm going to teach you how to shoot videos. I'm going to teach you how to really build your website. I'm going to teach you how to write letters. I'm going to teach you how to build a website easily that's going to bring you money all the time. The thing about copywriting and marketing is you're building a money machine in your world. People talk about the turds on social media, anti-social media, talk about funnels and all this other complicated stuff. It's not complicated. You just have to gradually learn how to turn words into money. And if you look at all my stuff, I mean, these videos I shoot are pretty much off the cuff. But I'm going to break down the ad in February. And I mean, that's going to be an education in copywriting that you've never had before. Maybe you're already an experienced copy guy. Maybe you're a newbie like I was 20 years ago. But man, oh man, everything, there's not one word in that Halbert ad that isn't a seminar. I mean, this cat was a different guy. He was a different guy. My friend, my pal Doberman Dan, Halbert actually lived with him for a while. So I know a lot about Halbert that's not reported, and just amazing stuff. But this is my favorite ad, and I'm going to break it down in my first maiden voyage of copy. Michael McLean's badasscopy.coach. Badass. The link is below. And like I said, if you sign up this week, I'm going to knock it down from 300 to 247. Are you kidding me? You learn how to be a copywriter over the next year. I share with you everything I'm doing. Like, not only am I going to be breaking down the Halbert ad, I'm going to be breaking down our Twitter ads, our Flakebook ads. I don't participate in anti-social media, by the way, at all personally. But as a professional, if I can make money on those anti-social networks, I do, because that's where some of my clients are. So do what you want with that information, but it's just, I'm going to share with you every month my copywriting, my storytelling. Like, I'm going to be writing this month about how the hell I shoot videos, because believe it or not, there's no way 5 years ago that I'd be out here walking with that storm cloud behind me shooting any video. I hated being on camera. I mean, I could give a public speech and I could talk at the Rotary Club or whatever, or I could talk to my hockey team, but there was no way I was going to be walking with a broken iPhone like this and a gimbal. I didn't know what the hell a gimbal was. So I was dismal. I was brutal. And I just worked until I was okay. And then I worked until I was average. And then I worked until I didn't stink anymore. And good morning. And then I worked until I was good. And then all of a sudden I was very good. And that's where I find myself today. I was just practice. It was no different than golf practice or tennis practice or pickleball practice or martial arts practice. I just practiced. I didn't have any special training or gifts. So I'm going to share an article in next month's badasscopy.coach about the 3 things you need to do to shoot a video. Once you do these 3 things every day, they're the only 3 things I think about before I press play. And after you practice for a few days, you're going to be able to wake up any day you want, whether you do or don't, and shoot a video that brings you money. To me, that's copywriting, that's storytelling. It's influence and persuasion. You know, you can really literally get up in the morning, put your hands on the keyboard, and write yourself whatever you want. Doesn't happen over time. I'm going to show you how to get rich as sin slowly by turning words into money. Man, that's a powerful skill to have. Anyway, print off the Halbert ad, go through it. If you want a deeper dive on it, I'm going to be providing it in this February's upcoming inaugural Michael McLean Badass Copy.coach print physical newsletter. And the link is below. That's it. Stop murdering your money. And God, I love that title. You couldn't use those. You can't use those names on social media, by the way. They would cancel your ad. You couldn't use those on BoobTube. You'd have to use those in print. We're too soft now. Halbert, it's a good thing he's not around to see how soft our society has come, because his best ads, he couldn't even run them. The magazines wouldn't agree. That's an offensive title. How to rob a bank without a gun. That's an offensive title. How to stop murdering your money. That's an offensive title. So Halbert he's too tough. He's too tough for today's world. But interesting stuff. What a unique cat Halbert was. That's it. 2 words that changed my life. 2 words that'll change yours. Be relentless.